Lorcana's first ever challenge event is in the books. Let's talk about it. So with Lorcana wrapping up its first ever challenge event in Atlanta, Georgia over the weekend, we're now seeing different types of prizes that you're going to be able to go and pick up and collect on the secondary market. But the question is now the time to buy? So we're going to talk about that in this episode, but first, let's talk about the different types of prizes that you can get and how you can get them. So there's essentially two different types of prizes that you can get. You can either get prize cards or prize mats, and there's two different formats in which you can pick these items up. You can either get them in the overall sanctioned tournament, or you're going to be able to get them in off of the prize wall, just picking them up by playing different side events and then getting tickets off of those side events and redeeming those tickets for prizes. So for the prize wall, you're going to be able to get the Cinderella Stout-Hearted, the Rapunzel Gifted Healing. These are going to be two non-foil cards that look almost identical to the cards that you might otherwise be able to get in the actual sanctioned tournament. The only big difference is that there's going to be no foiling on these cards, non-foiled cards, but they do have the same look and appearance of the actual promo card. And then there's also the Cinderella playmat. So from what I understand, on the secondary market right now, these two cards, Cinderella and Rapunzel, going for something in the realm of $250 to $350. I understand the Cinderella is maybe a little bit easier to get, a little bit cheaper. I believe it may have been a few less tickets to be able to actually acquire this card at the event compared to the Rapunzel. And then you have the Cinderella playmat. And from all of my research, all of my reading, speaking to individuals who are at this tournament, it sounds like the Cinderella playmat was next to impossible to actually acquire. I didn't really talk to anybody who was able to actually pick up the mat. That doesn't mean that nobody got the mat and actually acquired the mat, earned the mat. I'm sure that a few people did, but it was a lot of tickets to be able to acquire, and I'm sure that they are still floating around on secondary markets. I have seen a handful on eBay, Mercari that have at least gone through circulation. And it looks like the cheapest mat that I can find right now is around $6,000. But at the same time, I would expect a lot of fluctuation with the mat just because we don't really know how many are actually floating around out there. And there's a lot fewer mats out there compared to the actual non-foil promo cards, the Cinderella and the Rapunzel. So time will tell on the mat to see if that goes up or down. But those are basically the prize wall cards and how you get them. Moving into the tournament cards, this is, as we said, very simple. It's just you earn or win this card based on how you finish in the actual event. So starting with participating in the event, if you just show up and enter into this event and go there and play your first match, you are going to get a Dragonfire promo card. Now again, just like with all of the different foil cards, different promo cards, this is actually going to have a foil on it, which I believe looks like the actual Enchanted Rare foiling, but at the same time, it looks like it might be a little bit more swirly. It's kind of hard to make out with the pictures. I didn't actually go to the event, so I'm gonna have to actually get one in my hands, which I'm sure I will pretty soon, and I'll be able to sort of flash it in front of you in the camera, and we'll be able to look through that together. You're gonna get the Dragonfire card just from showing up. From what I'm seeing on secondary markets right now, that card is going for about $250, and I like that card to kind of stay in that range. Might go a little bit lower here, as we see more cards start to flush the market, but we'll see as time passes there. Then going into the 128th spot, so roughly 128 competitors got the Let It Go promo card, and this is where prices really start to jump up because you are essentially going from everybody earning a card to only the top 10%-ish of competitors earning this card. This card is going around $1,500 on the secondary market, and that card is going to be a significant price jump from Dragonfire, and I don't see that changing anytime soon just because, like I said, you're cutting out 90% of the overall populace that's going to be able to actually go in and earn this card from sanctioned tournament play. From there, we go into Cinderella Stout-Hearted. Again, unlike the non-foiling prize wall card, this is actually going to have foiling on it. Secondary market right now, I'm seeing this go for about $4,000. Again, could change. We'll have to see what happens there. Going down into top 32, which is Rapunzel. This is where we start to see a significant jump. and I'll be very curious to see if this actual delta holds long term, because while the Cinderella is $4,000, right now I'm seeing the Rapunzel at around $13,000. Now, I have to kind of take a step back and really understand what the difference is here between the Cinderella and the Rapunzel, because at the same time, while the Rapunzel is such a different, massive price jump from the Cinderella, for finishing top 32, the top 16 Rapunzel playmat right now is only going for about $5,000. Now again, I understand that typically the cards go for a lot more than the mats, but this is where pricing gets a little bit wonky, and I'll be very interested to see how that Rapunzel card shakes out, because that is a pretty significant jump just to go back down for the mat being, I mean, about as much as the Cinderella card is going for right now. So that's where I think there's a little bit more shaking out to go in the market. We'll see how that all pans out. And then finally, for finishing top 8, you get the much awaited Mickey BLT serialized gold enchanted trophy card, which there's really no pricing on this right now. But again, doing research, talking to people around, I'm hearing that this card is going to end up going for around $50,000 plus. And we did do another video, I want to say about a month back, where we did hypothesize what this card might go for in the future. And if you want to watch that video, go check that video out. I'll put a link in the description. But I don't really think anything has changed in that respect. I do see this card long term being a card that has six-figure potential in the collectability world as a collectible asset. Do I see that going for six figures right now? No, but over time I do. So if you do have the right market and you do have the right buyer, I can certainly see someone wanting to be able to grab that now, understanding that they do have a huge piece of Lorcana history. But really coming into the biggest question and why we're all talking about this today, why we're doing this episode today, should you be picking up these assets now? And if so, which ones should you be picking up? So talking about it from that perspective, should you be buying these assets right now? The simple answer is no, not yet. And the reason for this is because we have a very basic quantifiable metric that will tell us that these assets are going to go down in price long term, and that is that there's going to be more events. We're going to be having the Chicago event coming up here in a few weeks, the Dallas-Fort Worth event coming up a few weeks after that. This guarantees that there's going to be more quantity and more product that are going to flood the market. So when we think about it like this, we're thinking to ourselves that based off of all of the different cards and mats that are out there right now, the market will be more saturated with them in a few weeks, and therefore prices will go down so that sellers can remain competitive and move off of that product for collectors and buyers like you and me. So while it seems extremely tempting right now to go after these different products, I would highly recommend waiting at least through Chicago. Let Chicago play out and see how that works itself out in the market. Again, even if Dragonfire works its way from 250 down to 200, if you see the Cinderella from the prize wall and the Rapunzel from the prize wall go from 350, 250 to 250, 150. Again, not saying that this will happen, but I do believe that it stands to reason that these cards and these mats can only go down in price because of that quantity. So be on the lookout for that. And really make sure that you do your due diligence, and also make sure that you're looking at these specific promo cards, corners, edges, surface, just to make sure that you have the best specimen possible, because you are going to be a little bit spoiled for choice when you go and start looking for these different promo cards, because there's going to be so many that are hitting the market, similar to the Enchanted Promo Stitch and other cards like that that are kind of all coming out into the market all at once. But be on the lookout for those, and also be on the lookout for prices maybe coming down a little bit in the near future after the Chicago event and the Dallas-Fort Worth event. All right, so that's going to do it for today's episode. If you enjoyed today's content, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for the overwhelming support you've given us over the past couple of weeks and throughout the channel's inception. We are eternally grateful for you all, and we will see you all on the other side. Peace out.